They joins. It's great. So, welcome everybody to another episode. I am back, hopefully for good, from my COVID spell, which COVID is still a real thing. Um, Last time Sarah took the reins, which was an awesome episode, and today we have Erica on. I don't know, Erica, if you want to introduce yourself, or Sarah as well. And let's get this thing.
Yes, please introduce yourself because I was just asking where you live, everything about you.
Yeah.
I know I invited you on as a guest, but I don't actually know about your personal life, just your business. So tell us about yourself. Well, my personal life, I live in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and I hear that Kevin is a fellow Canadian from Vancouver,
I am.
West Coast, East Coast.
Nice.
I have a few jobs, but in a nutshell, I help, busy women, busy humans prioritize their self-care so that really they can live their days with less stress, more calm, greater joy. I help you, rewire your mindset, get back your time, energy, well-being. I help you with habit hacking, and I do all of this stuff. I'm a certified life coach and career coach, yoga and meditation teacher. I work on global news here in Canada. I'm a speaker, author, entrepreneur, teacher of a robust program for working women called Busy to Bliss. So it's really my mission to help people avoid burnout and kind of wake up excited about their lives and not feeling like SH blank blank every day. Well, that is a big reason we were super excited to have you on the Second Time Founders podcast, because I feel like, besides working mothers, the other class of humans that burn out a lot are founders, and especially
Yes.
founders that have been at it for a really long time. I'm just really excited to talk about, how we avoid burnout or reduce burnout. I fall into both buckets, being a founder and a working mother. So I'm like double burnout. So I am just selfishly really excited to get your take on all of this.
I'm curious, Erica. So what exactly? So you said a lot of stuff there. What exactly do you have, like an actual company that people come and pay you for? It sounds like you'll have a lot of side gigs. Is it a large organization? Is it a startup? Like what is it?
Or no, I've been doing this for a long time. My startup are my essential oils. So in COVID, of course, I teach self care and all the platforms on TV, corporately, in my book, on my website. But my startup are my Bliss essential oils, and those are therapeutic grade essential oils to help people with stress. So we have 4 blends, and those are for stress, sleep, energy, and immunity. So that's my startup. I have been
Very
a
cool.
career coach and speaker for almost 15 years. And so I have a team. I just have a team to help me with different things. So I have, assistants to help me with, the back end of the things that I do. I have a speaking agent to, book me on speaking gigs. So I have like different people I work with and all the different things that I do. Of course, I work with the TV team when I'm at Global,
Yeah.
one-on-one with my coaching clients. And as a program, Busy to Bliss is a program where I coach many women at one time. Yeah, who enroll in
That,
the program.
that sounds like a lot.
It's a lot, but it sounds like a lot, and I guess it is a lot, but I guess my main thing really is the coaching. The coaching is my main thing.
Got it. Got it.
And like
Got
I
it.
said, through the book, and here's my book, which you guys can see. So this was the book that was number 4 and bestseller in self-help on Amazon. It's called List Your Goals Journal,
Wow.
your list to inspire and motivate your growth. And this is how to manifest, your personal, professional, health, relationship goals in the next year. So it Ooh,
sounds
I
like
need that.
but it's all doing the same thing, just no matter wherever I am. If I'm here talking to you or at my desk coaching,
Yeah.
or company speaking or on TV, it's kind of all the same thing.
So what are like if you had to pick one or two kind of tips,
Yep.
especially for founders, like people running businesses, to, take care of themselves and avoid burnout, like what are some things they should keep in mind that might not be obvious?
This is like a really big conversation piece. And I'd love to say 2 things. One, of course, is boundaries is a massive thing. So as founders, especially to our, both our team members, if we're not a solopreneur,
We just want to make everyone happy. We don't want to say no to the orders. We just want to be everywhere. It's who we are. Like we decided we opted out of the 9 to 5. So we are in this. So we go home with this. We wake up with this. It's
Yeah.
all encompassing. So boundaries are really important. And I say, like, are you at your human pretzel threshold? Like, are you there yet? Have you twisted and turned yourself into this kind of
Right.
fucking mess? Right.
Yes, I
So
have.
the three are
Same.
sorry, but so there's a whole I have a whole formula to walk you out of it. But like boundaries are a really big thing,
Mhm,
non-negotiables. What are the things you won't negotiate on? So
mhm,
like for me, I won't negotiate on missing the big things for my kids. To me, they're my priority. So that means I'm going to be missing
Right.
speaking gigs or saying no to clients because I won't miss the French play. There are certain things my non-negotiables are getting outside for 30 minutes every day to move my body and walk, meditating before bed every single night. That helps me with stress and sleep. These are my non-negotiables. I protect them as if I would a meeting. My morning routine is my sacred thing. It's how I start the day feeling grounded and not opening up my phone and checking social media and scrolling aimlessly. Like I have my
oops.
routine, and our
Oops.
routines become rituals, become habits,
Right.
become like true rituals to us over time. So I would say that boundaries and non-negotiables are really big. And if you're listening or watching this right now, I always say I can tell how someone or a founder is doing if I ask you how you play in the 5 pillars of self-care and well-being. And that is what you eat,
Yeah.
how you sleep,
Yep.
how you move your body, how you manage stress, and how you connect socially. So I invite you to kind of think of your life as this sort of pizza pie with
Mhm.
eat, sleep, move, stress, connection.
What's the most important one?
It's not what's the most important one. The question is, where are you
Combination.
struggling the most? Are you eating like shit? Are you not sleeping? Do you have no stress management toolbox? Meaning when you're feeling really overwhelmed, what do you do? Do you do a Dr. Andrew Weil 478 breath? Do you go into a quiet place and meditate? Do you just keep working? Do you take breaks when you're working? Do you know that, the brain likes to work in 52 minutes and then get 15 minutes of rest? So
Yeah.
where are you struggling the most? And I say, write one action item for each thing. So let's say you're eating like crap or you're not sleeping well. So let's say you're eating like crap. What would be one tip? Well, this Sunday, you can head to an open air market. You could purchase some fresh fruits and vegetables, some good, healthy, lean proteins. You could do a little meal prep on Sunday so that, during the week, instead of being inclined to pick up McDonald's on the way home, you can, take out that meat sauce that you made or those chicken breasts that you marinated. Or if you want to reach for something junky, you can reach out for the veggies that you cut up on Sunday. So what is one action item in the area you're struggling with the most? And founders burnout for me, and I know for me, a lot of it is that social connection piece. And we know the studies on loneliness and
Mhm.
isolation. And a lot of the times we're just in our own heads as founders. We're obsessed with it. And so we isolate a lot, and that's really not good for our health. So
Yeah.
a lot of founders is like that whole social connection piece. And you don't realize the importance of getting out of your desk, going for lunch with a friend, breaking up the workday, getting out, removing yourself from kind of that all encompassing situation. So those 5 pillars of of self-care and well-being are really important. Make a list, one action item for each piece of the pie, wherever you are struggling, rate yourself where you're struggling the most. That's your first area to walk towards. And it's these small movements, of course,
Yeah.
that create massive change over time. It's about the habits, it's about the rituals that become sacred to us. And then as we start to feel better, they become our non-negotiables.
I'm curious on so there's obviously a lot of like and I think with the world of TikTok and YouTube, and I think mostly TikTok actually, there's a lot of like self-help people out there.
Mhm.
I'm kind of curious like and a lot of it is like just like trying to sell their own whatever it is. But I find that a lot of those people, I can't think of somebody off the top of my head that's like really big, but a lot of them actually like they haven't been in the actual thick of it at all, right? And they're giving advice to give advice.
Couldn't
So
agree more.
so you've obviously like been through this. Like how have like walk us through like your experience prior to this. How did you build this framework? I'm hoping the answer is that you actually did experience these things, obviously through your career. but also maybe talk a little bit about like the kind of craziness of like the self-help guru millionaires. I'm gonna make you a millionaire overnight and all this stuff, which just like drives me insane.
So agreed. So I think most of the experts out there, like a lot of them are really full of crap. And so I
Yes.
think you've got to be really weary with who you listen to and take advice from. For my story, I started out at 24 years old. I started my first company that was later acquired 7 years later by Canada's largest retail chain of bags at the time. And what happened to me is about 2 years into my business, I started to feel quite strange. And my mom is a therapist and she looked at me and she said, Erica, something's up, sweetheart. I think,
Right.
you may need to speak to someone. And I was kind of encroaching that burnout, wasn't sleeping, very agitated, very restless, all consumed with my company. And 2 years into my business, we were a Profit 50 company, one of Canada's 50 emerging growth companies. I was the only female CEO on the list. I was a top 30 under 30 entrepreneur, 40 under 40, and who's winning all these awards, but quietly in not a good place.
Yeah.
And so I went to the gym and I met Sandra, and Sandra was a therapist. And I said, Sandra, would you see me? And she said, of course. And so it was Sandra who made me come to this kind of aha epiphany moment, which was, Erica, no one's making you stop doing what you do well. You're a great entrepreneur. You're really passionate. So instead of throwing, water on your flame,
Mhm.
instead complement it with a calming and balanced lifestyle. And she suggested that I try yoga and meditation. And so I'm 48 years old and I was 26 years old when I really took it seriously to step on a yoga mat. And Steve became my non negotiable to me as an entrepreneur. And Steve came to my house twice a week. And he showed me what the power was when I step on a yoga mat and how I can bring my body to a state of calm,
Yeah.
breathing and breath work and yoga. And so that became kind of the beginning and through therapy, my journey of balancing who I am, which is I am this really passionate, very hardworking. Like I feel that I really am those both people. Like, who are you? We see you as so energetic, but yet we see you also as really calming, stabilizing. I'm really both because I think my natural inclination is to be worried, anxious, stressed. That's who
Yeah.
I am,
Yeah.
but I'm able to get myself into that good place every day with great habits. And so so that's kind of, and then through that, then I had always, mentored women in business and then started loving doing that. So got certified to coach women, sold my company, stayed home for 3 years, started a blog for women that evolved. And I was hired to work like it was kind of this evolution and just loved and obsessed with helping women. So creating these great habits for themselves, the woman I usually work with is a professional woman who's killing it at work and she's quietly just unhappy. She has bad habits and she's not taking care of herself. So
Sir,
what
question
so
for you
I'll
is that
tell
what do
you.
you do actually, Sarah?
Um, um, sorry, I'm sorry, guys. That's really. I'm just like I was going through the 5 pillars, and I was like, didn't sleep last night, ate like shit, made myself mac and cheese for dinner. I think I agree though. Like, so I need a lot of work in this department.
Yeah.
But I also have found that, when I can regularly exercise, like my exercise is
Right.
running, and like I need to do that. And if I'm not doing it and getting out there, like I start to feel it. I get like short with my kids and my team, and
Right.
I'm just like not the
Right.
person I want to be. So I am really like training myself that I need to go for a run. And if I'm starting to get upset or agitated about something, like go run. And remote work has helped a lot with that. Um, and I think also, my kids are a nice forcing function. I wouldn't say that's self care, but they're a nice forcing function to take a break from work. Like I literally, people were asking me, how do you switch between work and home when you're a remote worker? Like, how do you make that division? I'm like, it's really easy. My kids are home. That's the
Right.
division. You're not there. You don't realize it's not easy. It's hard to switch to do that switch. So
Right.
it's like a lot of tabs open at once. Right. But it's like I have to shut off from work. I can't be working 24/7 because I have them to force me to not work. They'll go. kill themselves accidentally if I'm not paying attention. So, I think that's a nice part about like being a parent. It is obviously a lot to balance, but it's also really nice as a founder to have something else to kind of take me out of the stress of work all the time and, get me on the soccer field and outside and, get me doing things that are um, more social because I have to be for my kid. I feel like there's kind of the nice built in balance of being a parent that is, people
You
always
think that
portray
there's a
as a negative,
balance?
but
I feel like I also have 2 kids, and I I don't know if there's a balance. I find that it's actually even more chaotic, right?
it is.
Because
Yeah, it is. But it's, felt really overwhelmed and kind of in the weeds. And now I'm starting to feel like my kids are a little older and they're actually like
okay.
enjoyable to be around. I mean, my little guy is still tough, but
How
my
old
girl,
Sarah, how old?
I have a 3.5-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old.
Mhm.
Um, but I will say, like, my 3.5-year-old is quite mature for 3.5 because he has 2 older sisters. He just
Right,
doesn't,
right.
people will describe their 3-year-olds like terrors, and mine's like great, which I'm allowed to brag about because I've been through the ringer with having 3 kids. So I'm allowed to have like one nice break. But it's nice now. Like we can go out as a family. We went to an outing the other night and it was with adults and kids. And I actually enjoyed myself. Like I didn't feel like it was all work. And of
Right.
course, I had my husband there too to kind of switch off with. But I feel like I'm starting to see the sweet spot of like children actually being enjoyable to be around and not just all encompassing. And, now my kids can be home and I can just take a minute for myself without them, you know, screaming within seconds. So, from where I was, it's gotten a lot better.
That's
I'm sure
great.
it gets even better, as Erica can tell us.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I miss that age. My kids are almost 17 and 20.
Wow.
And so I've got those boundaries, right? They understand, or even, even a few years ago, they understood that, let's say mom is working now and in an hour, I'm going to shut this off. And that's where I said where it's important to keep the boundaries clear between, I think, our kids, because it's hard for us. So I'll be like, if you want to watch a show for half an hour, mommy's going to come play with you. We'll go outside in half an hour. But for the next
Yeah.
30 minutes, mommy's going to be in her office. And of course, I'm here if there's an emergency, but like if you want to play or play blocks or read or whatever, and then in 30 minutes, we're going to go outside. And so I always like to give them that sort of warning. So it kind of
Right.
left me, undisturbed. And then it lets them know that we're going to have time to play. So it makes the transition a little bit
Kevin,
easier.
how old are your kids?
So I have my oldest just turned 6 today, actually. It's his birthday.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah. And then my youngest is 1.5.
Okay.
So I'm still in the
Yeah.
dark
I mean, they say like
zone,
when
I
your
guess.
youngest is like 4 is when it really like opens
Yeah.
up your
Yeah.
world. And I think I'm like starting to have that just because my little guy is so mature that I'm
Right.
like starting to see it now. And I'm like, this is great. Like it's
Right.
just not all bad when I'm with my kids. It's actually a source of rejuvenation for me some of the time, not
Interesting.
all of the time. I'm also like a short order cook and you know, have to do all that stuff. But
Right.
I can actually sometimes relax when I'm with them. Or it kind of gets me out of my element because I'm, on the soccer sidelines talking to other families and
Yeah.
getting, some social interaction. It's important that social connectivity piece is so important to our well-being. Really is.
And also very hard to create when you start having kids. It's like you have to create a whole new group of friends that also your kids like and all of this. This is what we're going through right now as my oldest is in kindergarten, which is tough. Erica, I'm really curious on your view. starting multiple companies, and also being in Canada. And because I moved from Canada to come down to the Bay Area, to start a venture-backed, business because mostly it was because this is where all the money is, and this is why I want to build something really large. So I'm curious on, for everybody else also listening, like, do you think it's harder in Canada, to do things? Do you any thoughts on that at all?
I can only speak to working and living and eat, sleeping, breathing in Canada.
Yeah,
um, yeah, but in what sense? Like, is it harder to get something off the ground here in Canada than in
yeah,
the US?
anything. Yeah, any
Yeah, like
anecdotes?
the funding landscape. Like, have you raised
Listen,
outside
there's
funding? Grants, there's funding, there's all sorts of things available. Like, I think it's called canadastartup.org. I mean, there's all different funding options available. There's still VCs, there's still banks. We still have everything here in Canada. You guys have got money in Canada. Yeah.
An interesting fact, actually, I still believe it's true that the top, four of the top five companies, as far as uh, market cap, are all banks in Canada. I've always found that so interesting, and I think Shopify obviously is in there as well. And it's just kind of crazy to me. It actually doesn't make any sense, in my mind.
The banks, they have a lot of power, they have a lot of money, and they, I guess, a big presence here. Yeah. That's Yeah, I mean, one of the things, like, just to connect the last thread, one of the reasons I love the Bay Area so much, and I know there's, like, all this controversy, is San Francisco back? Is it not back? Is it
It's
back?
back.
Is like, when I'm doing this kind of social stuff with my kids, a lot of times their parents are actually all the same people I would want to network with anyway for my job. And so it
Right.
is nice
Right.
that I can kind of have some of that overlap. And I was talking about this event I went to. It was actually a networking event for me, but then there were kids there that my kids were, able to play with. And I think you might not find that in other places, especially so tech heavy. A community where a lot of the families are actually really interesting people that you would want to get to know, kind of on a social level anyway. Um, so I really appreciate that about, like, the Bay Area and what it attracts in terms of this, like, melting pot of people that are just really motivated and successful and awesome. Um, and I don't know, like, I haven't lived my adult life in other places, so I can't say that I wouldn't find that, you know, in Philadelphia, go Birds, but, uh, I don't know that it would be the same. I think also that that's kind of on your radar. So for me as well, like, I think the beauty of having kids and meeting, I now have I have friends by choice now. So through my kids, I've met amazing professional working moms who I love them. They're my friends. We connect, we relate, we have similar struggles. And I think, I mean, that's a great way to meet new people, make new friends. I mean, as well in Montreal too.
Right.
No matter
Right.
where I go, of course, I meet people who are potential clients, people to collaborate with. I mean, we're a vibrant, alive city here. And we have some issues. We have some language issues and laws, and there's always been a history of the French, Francophone, Anglophone fighting. Who's right? What's the language here? Um, but no, and I fully agree with you, Sarah. Like, there are times where I show up at a football game or whatever, and I need help with something, and I'm sitting next to a dad who is a lawyer or who can answer that question. I mean, that's the
Right.
beauty of, I think, just also being an open-minded, curious human
Right.
being. Like, I'm like
Right.
that. So I strike up a conversation with everyone. And then that's just the law of attraction. I think when you're open-hearted, open-minded, your chakras are open to receive all the gifts that are being put in front of you when you're ready to
I
receive.
love that. I
So
love that.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. What do you, Erica, with your experience and obviously going through, everything that you went through as an entrepreneur and, now as a life coach and all of that, like, do you think that there are, like, different stages in like distinct stages in any person's like life? Like, is there ever a time like I'll even speak for myself. I find myself like obviously I have like younger kids and like running a venture back startup and things are on fire all the time. I don't think that I'm burned out right now, but I definitely have been in the last like 24 months. Is there certain like phases that people go through that you can like identify or and maybe even kind of talk about?
To answer your question, and this is like what I teach as well. So the four stages, I don't know if this will answer your question. You'll tell me if it does. It's kind of like the four stages that someone goes through. So I always talk about the first stage of this evolution is mindset, right? So a lot of us are walking around with a scarcity mindset. And the goal, of course, is to move from a scarcity to an abundance mindset. So as we are working on ourselves in the early
Yeah,
stages of something, we generally are in this scarcity mindset. I'll never be good enough. I'll never be as good as them. They have this great business. What was me? And so
right.
we're operating from that, you know, fear-based scarcity mindset. The idea is to move towards an abundance mindset, which is the world is open for me. If I'm able to, do the things that I have to do, the opportunities will present themselves. So gratitude is a big scientific piece on that. And always looking, especially, I mean, social media is so dangerous. Always
It is.
so easy to feel less than, right? That everyone's got it better than us. So it's a lot about, so we can't begin to change or evolve our lives. That's why my first step is mindset. Before you even begin to do anything, mindset's first. The next stage is energy and well-being. So as we start to grow and evolve, first we get the mind, then we get the body. And that was those 5 pillars of well-being. That's having that whole self-care, health, and wellness routine. Because you can't be a great entrepreneur, you can't be a great parent if you're not sleeping, if you're exhausted, if you wake up with no energy, if you're miserable. Like, we're not operating in our zone of genius if we don't take care of our health and well-being. So first it's mindset, then body, then time. Once you're getting all of that, once that's dialed in, we can start to, own our days, time manage our days like a boss. We can start to really trim the fat, organize our calendars so we're breathing more, so we're not so stressed and going from thing to thing. So we create white space in the day. So that's when things start to open up. So it's mindset, energy and well-being, time management, and then transformation is the fourth step, which is once we've got these things moving, how do we keep it on autopilot? How do you keep moving through it, Kevin, and not fall
Yeah.
back into habits? Or how do you go from being scared, unevolved, a rookie, all the way up to this kind of like expert operating in a zone of genius, waking up, feeling abundant, feeling creative, feeling energetic, as opposed. So those are kind of, I don't know if that answers your question, but those are kind of the four steps of evolving from really a standpoint of anyone, not just an entrepreneur.
Do you think so? Like, definitely our audience is like, I think like venture backed founders. Do
Yeah.
you when you talk about that fourth step, do you think that it actually like with all the stresses that we have, we're trying to create something from nothing. We're trying to scale a team from 10 people to 1,000 people. We're trying to do all these like insane things. Do you think that it is actually possible to stay in that fourth step continuously?
So it absolutely is. We are all a work in progress. So if someone's watching this, how long does it take to change our life? So just some numbers to keep in mind is it takes about 21 days to form a new habit,
Mm-hmm.
66 days up to 6 months for it to start to become more automatic. So if you're putting in the work, if you're laying your workout clothes at night before bed, by your bedside, you're rolling out your yoga mat, your exercise mat, so that it's staring at you in the morning. So you're getting up. If you're programming yourself to go to bed 20 minutes earlier at night, so you can wake up 20 minutes earlier in the morning so you can get on and move your body in
Right.
20 minutes. It's all this. So it's the more, it's kind of like cognitive behavior therapy. So the way we get better, we change by doing. And sometimes it's like the cheesy quote, you do it scared, you do it when you don't want to do it. But what matters is the doing, and we grow in the doing and we change in the doing. And not every week will be perfect. For myself, I had a really busy week last week and I
Yeah.
didn't exercise as much as I wanted to. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go right to my computer. I'm going to skip it. And that's when I need it the most. When we're
Yeah,
most,
I
again,
always
when
do
we're
that.
most stressed, that's when we need self care the most. And I was eating like crap because of it. And you get on this kind of bad spiral quickly, right? Like we all know when we
Yeah,
put work first, I speak a lot to my clients about like the scales of the sweet spot. And when work is really busy, so I'm showing like when work is up here, generally us, our self care, personally, we start to fall down here. And same
right,
thing when work is quiet, we generally have more time to go to yoga class, to go out for lunch with a friend, right? So the goal is how do we live in the sweet spot and keep, work and our personal well being balanced? It's not perfect. It's about practicing grace and compassion for yourself when you fall off that wellness wagon. It's about saying if it was a shitty day, it's not going to be a shitty weekend or a shitty week or a shitty month. It's a bad day or it's just a bad week. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to go back to the drawing board. I'm going to pull back those good habits, reintroduce those good habits so I can start feeling more energized in my day, more
Yeah.
positive.
I wonder also, I've definitely felt this over the, nearly 8 years of being a founder, and Kevin probably even more so as a second time founder. Like uh, I'm not as shaken by some of those stressful moments anymore. Like it
yeah.
used to be the case if I had something on my calendar that I knew would be a tense meeting or a hard thing I had to do, that would consume my whole day and I couldn't focus and it would drive me to eat like
That was
crap. And
it was a cortisol, like,
yeah, and now it's like I actually, have one of those meetings coming up that I know is going to be a challenging conversation and I'm like I've time boxed it. Like, I'm going to worry about that 30 minutes before the meeting starts. And like, it's just not going to consume everything I'm doing. And I have other stuff I need to focus on today. And I do feel like it's become more of a habit to just not get as stressed or as wrapped up in the bad. Um, that I am able to kind of compartmentalize it a bit more than I was in the beginning when it was just everything was so catastrophic and stressful. I'm wondering if that's, Kevin, do you feel that at all? That, you're able to manage it better?
I think I definitely go through periods that like Erica was saying that you kind of go through like the spiral um uh like I don't know, moments or points in time that like every single meeting is just like I'm like this is just like insurmountable. Like I just like I can't do this. I'm like I'm probably not eating right. I'm probably not sleeping well. I'm probably not doing all these different things. And then everything is like an uphill battle. But I don't necessarily when I'm in the kind of the good zone, I feel that even the really stressful meetings, well, now thinking about it, they definitely still are stressful, up until that, but if I'm not in the zone, like, to Erica's point, like, if I know for me, same thing when you mentioned, Sarah, like, if I don't exercise, like, that is, like, such a really big tell on, like, my whole, like, mental health well-being,
Yeah.
and I know that that then leads to me eating better and like it's just I also am a convert as far as meditating and like if I'm not exercising I'm probably not doing a lot of those different things, so I definitely go through like periods of that I just like everything just seems like you're pushing like a rock up a hill, and like even
Yeah.
those like that one calendar invite that is so small and it's just like doesn't matter, but it's just like it feels just like so like crazy. I think it's more for me. It's like the the like the moments in time or whatever those few weeks or whatever that I'm just like in a really bad place, and it's hard to for me, get out of it, and I know the like, it's like, put one foot in front of the other is, like, kind of one of the phrases that I hear a lot about, which is totally true, um, but, I definitely get in those just, like, in my own head, and I just can't, like, even do the simplest things. But for the majority of time, and it's also kind of like interesting, like I find myself like when times are really tough at like my company, I actually like I'm able to not be in that like negative zone, and I'm able to like be more resilient. And then like when times are actually like, oh, like we just raised this round, or we just landed this big customer, we just did close this thing or whatever. I find that's actually when I typically like negatively spiral. I don't know why that is. It's extremely frustrating because you'd think it would be the opposite. I don't know if
Yeah, I
I don't know
actually was
if
gonna
you
ask
are the
about that
same thing.
too. So we're, there's rumors that we're about to enter a real recession in the United States. And with like the Fed announcing that rates will stay higher longer, I think what that means for startups is
Yeah,
things will be harder for longer. So I almost feel like a lot of startups, myself included, we were sort of in this sprint to like get profitable, survive,
yes,
the economy was sucking, but we were going to make it. And that actually, for me, was like I'm a wartime CEO. I love it. I'm all, excited and let's do it. And,
yeah,
let's get profitable. There was a lot to sort of rally around. But now I'm starting to see like, okay, wait a minute. If things are going to be bad for a while, like, we had hoped the IPO markets would reopen and funding
which
would come back.
they kind of have a little bit.
They have a little bit, but I think for, really, really strong companies, and I think what we're starting to hear and see is that like it's not reopened for the masses, and
No,
funding is certainly not coming back and may not be back for a long, long time or ever. And so I think a lot of founders, myself included, are gonna like have to really buckle in for the long run here. And it's not like a sprint to survival. It's more like, a slog for a long
yeah,
time. And I think that's where people do start spiraling because you don't have this like, survival mode adrenaline to get excited about. You have, oh, wait a minute, this is just how it is. And I'm
yeah, that's a
wondering
great
if
point.
there's any strategies for
Those
that.
dangers of acute versus chronic stress. So if we're talking about my line of
Yeah.
work, not raising venture capital money, which is that when we enter that kind of the acute phase, when we get into the chronic phase, that's when as founders,
Yeah.
we run into trouble, emotionally. And as Kevin was saying, I think that's just a little bit, and it's not uncommon, of course. It's like a bit of that imposter syndrome, which is, oh my God, things are good. When's the ball going to drop? When's it, like
Yeah,
that piece of we can't allow ourselves to celebrate when things are good. Something is looming around the corner, that we get
yep,
into that negative mindset, imposter syndrome. Like that was just a fluke that I got that round. Really, someone's going to figure out that, like, they're going to figure out our loopholes. So that's really common. That's not uncommon, Kevin. And I encourage you that next time something good happens, to go and celebrate. And the way, as you said, when you see a meeting coming up and you're feeling frustrated, like, shit, I don't want to do that. I invite you, this sounds really cheesy, and I'm not telling you this is going to solve the world, but like
yeah,
go do something fun that night. Like go play pickleball, go play cards with the guys, go bring a little bit of fun and lightness, because that brings the creativity back into your life. That it changes the
Yeah.
air in your mind. It just
yeah.
can.
Definitely is good advice. What I find it hard to follow because like after ever any like really good thing that's happened, there's always just like there's this other thing that I gotta go and do. And also like I like a lot of so I've been fortunate enough to get relatively close to like some like very successful like CEOs. So Travis Cook from Uber, Brian from Airbnb, and like they as much as people want to say that there's this balance, there isn't. Like and we're talking to about like venture back, like you're trying to basically create a company that is the best in the world. And like what I have just when I've met with these people, like they are on all the time. Like they don't turn off. There's no balance. Like the work life balance does not exist. And so I don't know, like, obviously everybody picks what they want to do, right? Like, not everybody wants to be like a venture-backed founder, CEO. This is not meant for everybody, but I find that like myself and I think a lot of our audience, like, I don't know if there is like a true balance, and if there is like even as you mentioned, Erica, like after the good part happens, do something that's nice for you. It sounds great, but in practice, it just I don't know. It's just like you got to get back to like work. It's just it feels like there's obviously so much competition in whatever space you're in if you are a venture backed company, and I find that it's impossible to actually like kind of like take a break or vacation or anything nice at all. And I also have seen that the people that I know that have been the most successful have been even more like you. I don't know Elon Musk, but you even look at somebody like him, like he's running how many companies, and he doesn't do all this balancing stuff. Like,
Well, I think I don't think success is only, I get that you're trying to grow a big company, but I think that it's important to look at yourself and the path that you are on as a whole. So I don't believe in work-life
true,
balance, I believe in work-life harmony, and things work together. The goal is to get them working together harmoniously. So sometimes your work's going to get a 10 and your personal life's going to get a 4 that day. And sometimes, but I think it's important to work towards allowing them to work in harmony, because if not, you're going to burn out, Kevin. You just
oh,
always
I
are.
burned out. I I
Yeah.
I
The thing
definitely
is, like,
have.
it's that kind of person, but Kevin, if that's the grand picture, no vacation, no downtime, team no sleep, hustle culture,
Yeah.
that's gonna serve you now. You're young, but it's not gonna be sustainable
The
forever.
thing I liked about what Erica was saying is it not so much that you need to take all this vacation and do a hot bath every night and bubble bath. It's about,
Bubble
making
bath.
sure that your sleep and your health and your physical activity is supporting you as a founder. And I do really feel that I am at my peak performance as a founder when I'm, feeling good, getting enough. I mean,
Me
for
too.
me,
I
sleep
completely
is
agree.
100% like require. I am not a person who can survive off no sleep, and I sometimes just have to take a nap in the middle of the day if I like got a bad night's sleep, because I know I might be sitting at my computer, but the brain isn't working, so I'm not getting
Yeah.
stuff done. I encourage my team to do the same. So I do think those folks that you mentioned, they are, making sure they can support that level of hustle by taking care of themselves physically. I mean, look at them. They're not like 500 pounds. They are probably taking care of themselves physically to some extent to support that kind of like to sustain that sort of workload and energy. And I think, for some people, the social stuff also brings some energy. And so,
Yeah.
making
I
sure
I
you have enough
I get that as
connection and
well. Yeah, yeah,
social,
yeah. Yeah.
um, that can bring that energy and that creativity back into your work. So I think I liked that Erica was talking about those 5 pillars, and they weren't like the 5 pillars weren't like bubble bath. It's what allows you to operate at peak performance. And I think it is, it's not always going to be perfectly in balance. And usually one is like really lagging behind at any one time, and you got to kind of like bring it back up. But um, I think even those really great founders are paying attention to those other pillars, or they wouldn't be able to operate the way they are.
I actually I disagree because I've gotten to know some of them, and they
I mean, look at Jeff Bezos. He's like a muscle man. Like he's definitely
well,
taking
now he
care of
is.
himself.
He left Amazon, but
Yeah.
I think that it is really tough, and I think this is also like going back to like my original question to you, Erica. Like there's so much like especially on social media, like life coaching, like this is what you need to do, all of this stuff. But like I think in reality, even the most successful people, they don't practice like all of these different things. And it's totally not healthy. Like they go through ups and downs, and in their private life, I'm sure that it's like so like crazy and like it's not healthy, and they don't eat well, and then they go and they get a trainer, and then they lose a bunch of weight, and it's like up and down, like all this
Ozempic
stuff.
and
Yeah, Ozempic, sure. I think that that is like the reality, because like that's what I well for that's what I experience. But also I know so many people, and also to be clear, we are talking about like the 1% of the 1%. So the people that are building the Jeff Bezos of the world, like I'm sure like him going and through everything like, obviously, none of this is public, but, like, I'm sure, like, uh, him and his wife and, like, uh, his kids and all that, like, he was all encompassed by work,
right.
and, like, I think that everybody paints, like, a nice picture, like, I think I remember, um, Jeff Bezos on stage some time, and he's like, "Yeah, my wife's happy with me because I like load the dishwasher or something like that." But like, I really do bet that like underneath all of that is just like this up and down cycles that are not like healthy mentally, physically, or emotionally, all of that. I think that's like the real picture. And this is also why I even brought up the life coaches, because they just make it seem so easy. It's like not even the life coaches, but there's got to be another word for people on TikTok just like spouting off like how to become a millionaire. It's just like it's super easy. You just have to have all this real estate
One is
stuff.
telling you how to get rid one's like the financial, which
Yes.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
bring you
Yeah. Yeah.
quick, and one is telling you how to take care of yourself. So those are two very different things. But I
Right.
agree with you that most experts out there, they present one way and they're completely different in their personal lives. Like they're telling you how to make money, and most of them don't even know how to save
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
they're broke. I'm not saying broke, but for sure that's completely out of alignment. But that's so for me, that's how I feel my audience appreciates that I'm really honest in how. So I teach people based on science and research, and I'm the living proof of that. That not every day is perfect,
Right.
but I do live in alignment with what I teach, 100%.
Yeah.
It's
I also think,
time, but
when you try to look at it like on the order of days or even weeks, like you're going to fail and then you're going to feel like
of
shit. And so
course,
like look on a longer time frame of like,
Yeah.
actually this week I
That's
might
great.
be like doing way more on the social side and like actually doing kind of a shitty job as a founder. And I don't feel like one of those hustle culture founders, but
cannot measure
next week,
success in a specimen. You need to
right.
measure over time.
Next week I might be traveling and it's like all work all the time and I'm eating like shit and I'm not sleeping, but I'm doing great at, doing great things for Winnie. And so I think I've really learned to kind of like zoom out and, like Erica said, sometimes things really do fall off. Like right now, my, eating is in a really bad spot and like that's built
Yeah.
up and I've gained a lot of weight that I'm not happy about. But like I'm going to get that back on track because now I've like come to realize my weight is a problem. Maybe I'll find someone to give me an Ozempic prescription, any of our listeners that can hook me up. But in absence of that, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to that and try to like bring it back into the fold, and maybe something else will fall off in the meantime. But I do think it is important to like even keep those pillars in mind so that you could have an awareness. And I think it's, just really unfair to hold yourself to the standard of like in a day, all those things must be in balance or in a week, look over the course of a
Yeah.
longer
That's a great point.
Kevin,
Um,
so I think that like I know that you use like the Jeff Bezos and and
Elon Musk
Elon
or
Musk
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Bill. I
It
mean,
doesn't charge.
you know,
Look at
like
some
They
nice
they
people.
totally are. Yeah.
You would, we all have something. We all have shit. There's always something. And so, yes, they are successful businessmen. If they wake up happy and abundance, they're like, it's very easy to glorify someone, but you got to it's like when my kids are mad at me and they're like, you're the meanest mom. I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? If you want so and so's mom, you got to take
You
everything.
want Sarah's mom. Sarah's
You got to take Sarah's, you got to take it all. So I think it's
Yeah.
important. I think, Kevin, you should glorify yourself. I think that look at you. Like, look what you
And
go,
set a new model. Like you can actually be a successful founder that doesn't divorce his wife, that's actually there for your kids. Like that
Yeah.
would be an amazing example to set. And that's also how I look at myself as like, a
Which,
woman
to be
CEO.
clear, like I named some people that like are counter to that, but obviously there are a lot of other people. Like
nope.
I think of like the even like the Atlassian founders, I would put on the like the other side of the camp, right? Like
Right.
they didn't take a lot of venture. They didn't probably have a lot of like pressure. They still are, I believe, all together. They went public. They're a really successful company, but I think that they have developed like a what is it, the work life harmony or whatever you call it now. So of course there's going to be like
Yeah.
counter examples to that, but the thing that I just wanted to like call out is that I think that the majority of people, they go and me as well, like they go through these like really rough cycles that that yeah, like ideally we would be like doing all of these things all the time, and like yeah, like do I eat well, do I exercise, do I meditate, like do I sleep good, like yeah, for maybe like uh for the year. and then the other half is just like it just kind of comes off in general that like the advice is like you need to do all this all the time, right? And even like if you take it down to like for us, Sarah, being in the venture world, like there's been like, oh, there should be like the 4 day work week, and that's going to be the thing, and all of this stuff. And I just don't like, if you truly like and this podcast is all about like creating the like, if you're listening, you're probably a venture founder. Like, so if you're a venture founder, you are wanting to create the best thing ever, that is going to be the best product like worldwide. Like that is your like inspiration. And I just don't like when we talk about all these different things and having balance and all of this stuff, I think that it's great, and also I would love to have it, and I do have it for, like, a good percentage of the year, but also there's the other side that is like, it's just not fucking possible. Like, you're competing with everybody in the world. Like, if you're taking venture capital, like, the expectations are so fucking high, so high, and you need to actually put in those longer hours and do all those extra things. And yeah, when you have a win, it would be amazing if you could be like, and I'm terrible at this, like even like celebrating a win with the team. And I know that's important to the team, but it's like, well, we got this other thing to do. Like, and it's just like that
But that's a
competition.
culture that you have to shift and say, we are going
Yeah. I,
it's coming
yeah.
from the top. If you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling worthy to celebrate, if you're just after the next hustle, if you're competing with someone else instead of yourself, then those are the messages they're going to get. And you're going to have a whole pretty high stressed out
But
uh,
here's
team, right?
here's a question. So
Just keeping it real here.
yeah,
You
it
may be very wealthy and very successful, but are you going to be happy? Sir, I'm just giving you
oh,
the
that's a
right?
completely different
So
question. Yeah,
if you're
I,
yeah,
I will be happy if I'm wealthy and successful, just for the record.
right. And also even Sarah, like,
alive and want to appreciate it,
yeah, yeah, and to be clear, like I don't know if being like the best in industry and being extremely wealthy is going to lead to happiness. But there are definitely, like, if you are taking venture capital money, and you're trying to build the best company, like, there's a lot of pressure on the line, and you don't have like a lot of room for error, and you have to like be better than everybody else. And so I think that a lot of these things are great advice, but I think that exactly what Erica, what you talked about, like we fall back into these cycles, and then it's like we gotta get back on this. And I find myself, let's say, yeah, probably like half of the year I'm like I'm good, and the other half I'm like internally, like I'm falling apart. Like it's like, sorry, you mentioned like you're eating like shit like now, right now. Like right at this moment, I switched to keto. I just lost like 25 pounds. Like I'm feeling like a lot better. But like before then, I like the previous 3 to 6 months, I gained like 30 or 40 pounds. And so it's like it's such an up and down thing. And I
That's
know,
right. But Kevin, if you can find yourself, that's why I run Busy to Bliss. If you, I mean, it's only for women, not for men, but that's why having a coach, a career
yeah,
coach, accountability partner in life is so important so that you stay on track.
no, that's
You can see someone every, if not every 2 weeks. I know you're busy, but if you can pencil in an hour twice a month to work on you, to build your
yeah.
habits and well-being, to be able to feel good as you're running your company, that will move the needle for you. So things like that will
I think this was kind of an intervention for Kevin. So I know we're at time and we have to wrap. This was
That's
I
a
hope
super.
so. And it's a
Uh,
good thing. It's a
But
good
you
thing.
won't take me on, Erica. I'm a
well,
man.
Kevin,
maybe if you want to, switch over to being a woman and
no, no,
and move
no.
up.
You can't come into Busy to Bliss, but Kevin, I coach men all the time.
Oh,
Just
great.
group program, just not on Busy to Bliss, but I do one-on-one with men all the time. And you would, your mind is open. So you would, I
Yeah,
have no
it
problem
totally
with
is. Yeah,
embrace
yeah,
some
yeah,
good new strategies for yourself.
I agree with Erica that I think Kevin, you would benefit from like some sort of coaching. And for
yeah.
me, this
I'm
session
a
was very
therapist.
informative.
I which is different,
I feel
obviously.
like we just got some free coaching from Erica. I am definitely getting the book. I feel like I have a lot I can take away from this. So thank you so much for
Yeah, let's wrap this
on.
episode up. Thank you so much, Erica. Just to recap, your book for everybody listening or watching is, what is it called, and where can you buy it?
Yeah. List your goals journal, 100 lists to inspire and motivate your growth. You can buy wherever books are sold. So I guess Amazon is probably the easiest, Barnes and Noble for you guys, Walmart, Target. But Amazon is
Perfect.
probably your best bet. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being a
Oh,
guest,
thank you for having me.
Erica, and thank you for everybody that is listening. And see you next time. All right. Bye.
Bye.